They have 4 post players. One is jumping center right now, number 32, Paul Nelson, but they have 4 post players that they can go to, so it'll be a test inside for the Buff defense.
Nelson gets up, taps it to the backcourt. Here comes Braswell for the 4 and 7 Yale Bulldogs. Open man, this is Zampier, and he's pretty creative, and a good pass down low in the block by, of all people, Corey Higgins. He does a little of everything.
Well, Zampier had a nice look, what could have been an assist inside had Corey Higgins not gotten a piece of that ball, but Zampier on first possession, not afraid to be aggressive against the Buff defense.
And right now, Zampier starting defensively on Corey Higgins.
Well, in talking with James Jones, he made it clear that Zampier could more confident on one end of the floor. That would be the offensive end of the floor. So this is a big assignment for Zampier to pick up Corey Higgins on the inbound play. And
usually, Coach, you could attest to this. You don't always want your best offensive player with a tough defensive assignment because he could get in foul trouble. And Higgins, who normally lets the game come to him, very aggressive on the first possession, misses for 10.
And that's where number 32, Paul Nelson, can really be a factor. Not only the defensive boards as he ripped down the first defensive board, but I believe on the offensive end. Buffaloes are in a zone defense or a switching mans. Looks like they're set up in kind of a 1-2-2 setup zone defense. And that will keep Paul Nelson up at high post. You'll see more at low post against a man-to-man. You'll see the switch there with the baseline shooter, Zampier coming off screens. There's a high-low. Michael Sands sloppy with the ball, and Alec Burks with his first steal and jam of the game.
He knows what to do with it in the open floor. So Burks gives Colorado the quick 2-0 lead.
And that's the problem with post players handling the ball at the high post area. Bulldogs don't have any trouble with the trapping defense of the Colorado Buffaloes, but you see both post players 6'10", 6'8" up at high post against quicker guards.
Gibson goes down low to Nelson, and Nelson gets the roll. So Paul Nelson averaging 7 points a game. Rolls one home.
One thing I like about what Nelson did, he had the ball for at least 3 seconds. And I know your sons are here. I would want to say to him, did you notice how he didn't put the ball on the floor? There's the second defensive board. Already Nelson a factor. And we talked about that, you and I off air, that at 6'10", he can be a factor against the Buffs.
The other thing I liked about Nelson is he kept the ball up high.
Yeah. I mean, when he's inside, you know, he could see a double team coming, but he doesn't put the ball on the floor. You don't want to do that if you're a post player on the inside.
Zampier gives it up, 12 on the shot clock. Here's Braswell on a drive and a little runner in the lane, and it's 4-2 Yale.
You know, Braswell, second in three-point shots last year for Yale. He's only 1 for 19 from the three-point line, so he's taken a lot more shots from inside the three. He's capable of getting inside. Zampier got away with reaching.
And the pass slipped out of the hands, evidently of Higgins, or at least that was the call. And Yale will get the basketball now. 94 feet of defense set up by Colorado. They're looking to trap.
Yeah, and Colorado likes to put on a little soft pressure in the backcourt and then fall back to his zone. Braswell fairly quick, and Sands in a charge, offensive foul. And this is exactly what Jeff Guzdelik has been asking for. It looks like Austin Default took the charge. He has been asking for his team to be more physical on the defensive end. Watch Default, number 33, steps in. Heads up play by Austin Default. I don't know if Yale, they definitely have the depth. I don't know if they have the speed to stay up with Colorado in a man-to-man defense.
And there's another block by Nelson.
And Nelson is a factor.
Actually, his first block, he affected a shot a moment ago. This is Sands looking for help. Zampier checked by Higgins.
Well, you want to see, you keep your eye on number 32 in the low post. He's coming into the high post area. And it looks as if Braswell's not having too much of a difficult time. That's a third rebound right there for number 32, Paul Nelson, 6'10".
Here's Gibson again. Rebound, Sands, and a putback. That was a fine possession by Yale. And you got a feel for their physical presence inside. Sands is a banger. Nelson 6'10".
And fans, there are 2 more coming off the bench. Greg Mangano, number 44, can come off the bench. and number 15, Red Anderson, a 6'8" sophomore. So there's some depth on the inside. Watch on the boards, the outside shots taken, and this is something Jeff Bezdelic has been on his team. Where's the block out? Number 32, Nelson got the first one. Number 42, Michael Sands gets the second one.
Reggie Wilhite has come on the floor for Yale. Gibson goes out.
The Bulldogs on the inbound play go back to a zone defense. I always think it's beneficial for a defensive team to switch up their defenses a little bit. They left Corey Higgins open in the corner. That's not a smart thing.
Here's Burks for three, and the rebound to Nelson.
Nelson's been clearing the defensive boards. I don't know if the Buffs have an offensive board thanks to Paul Nelson.
And Wilhite shuffled his feet.
Well, that's one thing you don't want to do is sub in and then first offensive possession, turn the ball over.
6-2, Colorado trailing Yale. Back in a moment.
Game, share the basketball, as Jeff Bezdelic asked his team to do. Alana referred to 27 assists on 32. Share the ball, and secondly, protect the paint. They have not been able to do that on the offensive end, as Sands and Nelson have both gotten a couple shots on the inside.
Nate Tomlinson bringing it up the floor. And that is an offensive foul. It is drawn by number 5, Michael Grace.
Michael Grace is a freshman from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is a guard of the future for the Bulldogs. He has 7 assists against Colgate earlier in the year. And this is a player that James Jones is very high on. Buffs come out aggressive. That's a kick that was not called.
Yeah, that's surprising it wasn't called.
Typically, good hustle by Zampier to get back in the play. The Buffs got away with the kick there. Typically, that's a violation. You can see screen on the top by Michael Sands for Zampier. We mentioned they will set numerous on and off ball screens for Zampier to free him up. Colorado much more aggressive.
Long three, and there's Sands, and he misses from point blank range, and then he rips it from Marcus Relford, who goes down with the basketball, and they're going to call a foul on Sands. You know what? I'm not so sure that was a foul.
Yeah,
I think he had the basketball, and of course, you know, the violent throwdown, but I thought he had the basketball.
Well, he gets the first rebound and just gets robbed on the putback. And, you know, he had the ball. I agree with you. I tell you what, Drew, you're a New Yorker. These guys, they're not afraid of anybody.
Oh, I mean, these kids, well, they play now in New Haven. They're from all over the place, but you have a lot of East Coast kids, and they're going to play physical. They're not going to be intimidated. The other direction, that's goaltending on Dwight Thorne. Give the bucket to Wilhite. It is 8-2 Yale.
Well, yeah, I mean, I mentioned New York. Well, as we see the transition, Wilhite to the bucket, and, you know, Colorado caught sleeping in defensive transition. You got to have a guard back in transition.
Greg Mangano has come on the floor, 6'10" sophomore, number 44. Yale out of the corner. That jumper's a little bit short. And again, Yale is all over the glass. Shane Harris-Tunks, a 6'11" freshman for Colorado, was boxed out nicely by Yale.
Well, the score is 8-2. Guess what the rebounds are? They're also 8-2. And I would venture to say that 7 of the 8 rebounds for Yale are on the defensive end. Colorado has not been able to pull down a second shot.
And Coach, Yale has all of their points in the paint.
Well, they've got to protect. Colorado's got to protect, and that's not a good sign, Drew, when Colorado is in a zone defense. Man to man, you think they could pound the ball down inside, but against the zone, you hope they protect that inside. Good double team. Harris-Tunks is quick along that baseline.
3 to shoot it. There's a steal by Relford. Here's Burks on a run out.
That was one of what we just said. Yale cannot afford to turn the ball over because no one will catch Alex Burks, excuse me.
He's averaging 16 a game. He's got the 4 points for Colorado. Zampier and the feed inside. It was a mismatch. Dwight Thorne on the switch was covering the 6'10" Mangano.